Hey everyone, Michael with Break a Pencil here. Welcome back to our Taylor Swift Masterclass in Strategic Leadership. Today we're going to be talking about the Business and Portfolio Choreographer. Again, these are 6 personas of product leadership, a framework that I developed to try to capture all the 6 different personas or roles that a product leader needs to embody at various different points during the day or during the week in their job to be an effective product leader. So today we're going to be looking at 2023 to 2024, how Taylor Swift built financial leverage through portfolio success, again embodying this role of the business and portfolio choreographer. So quick recap, after we did the introduction and overview, the first phase we looked at was the political navigator, that crisis response where Taylor successfully built public pressure. Then she shifted into the role of the innovation architect by announcing and executing her re-recording strategy, creating competing assets. And then she switched into her strategic orchestra conductor persona by coordinating amazing amounts of activities, a tour, album re-records, album releases, all sorts of activities, and just orchestrating the timing and sequencing of those events perfectly. Which leaves us to today, because she needs one more thing to really complete this entire process, and that's financial leverage. In 2019, it was estimated that her financial net worth was around $370 million, which was about the going price for the Masters. Interestingly enough, that was the price that Shamrock paid Ithaca, Scooter Braun, for the Masters about a year or so after he bought him from Big Machine Records. And so if you think about it, she could have done it, but she would have had to secure some outside investment to be able to make a purchase of that size, $350 or so million, with the net worth at her time. Well, let's watch what happens. The business and portfolio choreographer is all about, in this example with Taylor Swift, converting artistic success into business power. And so we're going to see today how she turned a tour into the ultimate negotiating leverage. Let's dive in. Once again, this is the overall timeline from 2019 to just a few days ago when she announced that she was able to successfully buy back her Masters. We are focusing specifically on 2023 to 2024, so the second half of this particular phase, and the business portfolio choreographer persona. So building this portfolio, she goes from a tour to eventually becoming, having enough leverage to execute these buybacks. So let's look at how she did it, right? The first thing she did was she took a portfolio approach. So she has her primary asset, which is the Eras Tour, which generates over $2 billion in ticket sales. It becomes the very first tour ever to cross $1 billion, and then it breaks its own record to become the very first tour ever to cross $2 billion. But it wasn't just that. She had some secondary assets as well. She was estimated about $440 million in merchandise sales, and that's a low amount because that does not include online, nor does that include sales not on concert days. The concert film she released took in about $260 million in the box office. It's unclear how much she licensed the rights to Disney Plus to carry it. So that's even more. And then, of course, there was increased streaming and album sales throughout this entire time period. So we're looking at $2.75 billion. Taylor wasn't just touring. She was building a portfolio of these interconnected revenue streams, with each element amplifying the next, right? So once again, we're seeing that it isn't sort of singular, disparate assets or singular disparate events. These are all interconnected, and they're all building towards her objective of buying back her Masters. A business and portfolio choreographer is always thinking about optimizing across multiple products or initiatives simultaneously. And I'll tie this back into what does this mean to you as a product manager or product leader in just a few minutes. So then she starts to do strategic positioning of this against Shamrock. Look, for almost 2 years, every weekend, Shamrock watched as Taylor sold out show after show after show, 149 sold out shows across 51 cities on 5 continents. Over 10 million people attended this Eras Tour spectacle event. I mean, I don't even know what you would call it. And so constantly this clear evidence to Shamrock about all this value that they're unable to capture. And they're unable to capture because Taylor isn't supportive. And quite the opposite. Taylor's actually, actively working to devalue that asset. And it proved really that owning masters without artist cooperation was just a worthless endeavor for the most part. In fact, there's a great quote from an anonymous fund manager who initially passed when Big Machine was selling, passed on it. And he said, to extract maximum value from music assets, you absolutely need, if not cooperation from the artist, you at least need them to not be actively angry. So perfect example here. She's actively angry. Shamrock's sitting here watching it. She's killing it with her fans, and just this tour is, setting the world on fire. And they're sitting on the sidelines for the most part. And then she has the ultimate leverage. So almost 3 billion, so 2.8 billion plus across these multiple revenue streams really gives her the ultimate negotiating position. Her financial success is really what created the resources and the pressure that she needed to successfully buy back her masters. In fact, there's a great quote in her letter which she says, "The passionate support you showed those albums and the success you turned the Eras Tour into is why I was able to buy back my music." What does this mean to me? I'm a product manager. I'm a product leader. This is all interesting, but how do I bring this and apply this to my day-to-day? Well, first of all, you've got to be focusing on product success, but converting that into business leverage, right? Product success is a means to an end. Taylor used artistic success to build her financial success and stability to enable those strategic objectives, right? Artistic success, financial leverage, strategic objectives. For you as a product manager, turn your feature success into bigger business opportunities. Great business and portfolio choreographers see these connections between different initiatives. For example, you have a successful feature launch. Think about maybe expanding the platform. You have substantial user growth. Maybe it's time now to leverage that user growth and enter the enterprise market. You have significant product success. Now's the time to start strategic partnership discussions. You have the leverage. So always be looking for, and what does that mean to me? Portfolio thinking versus individual product focus. We inherently understand this, especially if we're product leaders and we're managing a portfolio of products. So Taylor shows us that tour success plus album success plus film success equals buyback leverage. And traditionally, you can optimize products independently. And the portfolio approach just would say you have to optimize across multiple products for maximal strategic impact, which is what a product leader does. But you need to think of it as feature success plus the user growth plus the revenue growth, right, of that portfolio is ultimately what yields strategic options. It gives you the flexibility and the opportunity to do things that you wouldn't otherwise be able to. And timing and resource allocation. Very, very important. Taylor used her peak tour success to negotiate from a position of strength. Sometimes you just need to build overwhelming success to create the leverage you need. For a product manager, that's all about strategically timing for most effectiveness your product releases, attempting to try and time the market vis-a-vis market opportunities, market events, competition, and always be looking at how you're positioning yourself against your competition. You need to have some sort of differentiation, and it needs to be differentiation that your customers value. The business and portfolio choreographer core skill is knowing when to invest, when to harvest, and ultimately when to leverage. So if you want to be the business and portfolio choreographer and embody that in your role, you need it specifically when you're doing resource allocation, when you're looking at strategic initiatives, and when you're dealing with business outcome pressure, where you want to apply pressure based on business outcomes. The core skill here is you've got to see the whole portfolio while being able to optimize individual elements. And Taylor shows us this, that artistic excellence without business acumen It's not enough. You need both, right? And so I would say the analogy to that is product success without business acumen or without strategic intent is insufficient. You need both. Okay, tomorrow, Thursday, will be our last video, how Taylor turned victory into lasting industry change. We'll look at the final two personas in these 6 personas of product leadership. If you want to know when the next video drops, like or subscribe down below if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're watching this on LinkedIn, you can follow me or you can click on the YouTube link in the comments below and subscribe over there. I will also include in the comments and in the description, LinkedIn and YouTube, a link for where you can get a free copy of my framework, The 6 Personas of Product Leadership. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, I'll see you tomorrow.